Oh yeah.
at the right time. And I just think that a lot of that comes from being comfortable standing on your feet and arguing. It's like a sporting contest almost. They give,
Right.
they say, let's say the war in Afghanistan. Should we get out or should we stay in? And you don't know which side you're going to get. In other words, before the debate, they say, okay, you're going to have this side and you're going to have that side. So it has nothing to do with what your personal views are on the subject. But then you have maybe several weeks to do your
Oh, you do?
research and formulate your arguments. But it's almost like a tennis match or something. They get. I've gone to several of them, but I obviously didn't ever join. But how spirited they get, but then when it's all over, they're all shaking their hands. See, that's a good point you made about.
Yeah,
I
just like
didn't
a
know about
sport.
that. That kind of thing. Yeah, but so you don't know what movie I'm talking. You've never seen that. 'Cause I thought Airplane was
Yeah,
hilarious.
that movie's so funny.
uh, yeah,
It's like when they're talking in jive.
and they have it like they're talking in a foreign language. But was it a nun who could translate
It was
it?
like an old lady.
Yeah. There's a lot of corny stuff, but that's what almost made it good. Okay. Statement of gratitude. You chose to give me a physical form of luck. Wise grandfather. To express the truth, I would have set off fireworks in your home. Well,
In your honor.
in your honor. Sincerely, your grandson, Brendan. Your virtues. Overwhelmed. Okay, thank you very much, Brendan. I just don't want you to spend it all on beer.
Not all of it.
Okay. Okay, that's a good note. Now, I want you to have fun. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. You can have fun. Like Tom had a lot of fun, I think, but he kept his eye on the ball too. You know, and I don't know. I don't know what Skip was doing. He had a lot of fun, but I don't know
Probably.
how you know, of course, it's the universities. I think like Yale gets almost all brilliant students. And I thought, well, how can you go to college and not have freshman mathematics?
They
But
don't have
up
it?
at Yale, it was all electives. So Skip, I, I said, well, the price of me paying the tuition is you take mathematics. And so he does it. He calls me up about 3 days later and says, Dad, no one takes mathematics up here except engineering students and guys who are going to be,
Mathematicians.
PhDs in physics or something like that. I'm pretty good at it, but I can't keep up with those guys. That's their life almost. So I let them drop out. But that was the one thing I liked about West Point. It's not this way anymore, but we had no electives. They decided what an army officer should know. and they designed that. That evidently then it was, especially when the women were starting to accept and a lot of women don't like engineering, like men do. So I think that's one of the reasons they started to teach social studies and that kind of. But I was talking to a young, she had her wedding up here, and she's the one who's not one of those Black Hawk helicopter pilots. Anyway, she said, well, maybe it should still be engineering, but she said the first year and a half is almost all engineering. I mean, everybody takes math, physics, chemistry. You only start getting into the history and political science or whatever your major is after that first dose of engineering. You know, but I don't know if you know this. The reason West Point got started was after the Revolutionary War. During the Revolutionary War, there were no engineers in the in the colonies. There was Harvard, William and Mary. There's about 5 universities, but they were all liberal arts. And so all those colonels and generals they brought over from France and Germany were engineers, like, and that's when George Washington and Thomas Jefferson said, well, we have to start growing our own engineers. So then they thought, well, the place to do it would be in the Corps of Engineers. The guys who built the. So that's how the school and the Corps of Engineers were. A lot of it was an engineer base at West Point. So then they started a
and
school.
then it started school.
There it started out with only 15 students and stuff. Then so that was the first engineering school, and then after the Civil War, like West Pointers were the ones who started many engineering schools at Harvard and places like that. But I was reading a book where some politician said there's more West Pointers building railroads to the west than there are West Pointers in the U.S. Army. There was a big demand by the railroad companies, that were building railway, and of course that was all civil engineering, which we were. I'd say, even though we were what I guess at a regular school would call it a general engineer,